Thank you for attending the Integrated Point of Sale Aloha Workshop Series on Aloha Basics. This individual webinar is one of 3 parts that constitute a basic education necessary for all owners and managers to begin using and maintaining their Aloha system on a day-to-day basis. This session will cover restaurant cash handling principles and payroll, both adding new employees and maintaining and editing existing records. To begin discussing cash handling and accountability, first let's look at how cash flows through a typical table service restaurant in a day. Let's start with an opening bank of $500. This is the money kept securely in the office safe overnight. Upon arriving, the opening manager verifies the amount of cash on hand and, seeing that no change order is necessary from the bank, takes $200 to act as the starting bar cash drawer. A table comes in and eats. At the conclusion of their meal, the waiter presents them with a check for $50. The table gives the waiter $60, telling him to keep the change. There's now $560 in the restaurant, $550 of which is ours. Additionally, a bartender sells a carryout order for $100 and is given a $5 tip, paid with a credit card. Now let's add in our manager and collect the money. When our waiter runs his end of shift checkout, Aloha will show that he owes $50, which the manager will collect along with the checkout and any credit card slips and coupons, etc. he may have. Here it will just be cash. Our manager then places that in the safe. Our waiter takes his remaining $10 and leaves for the night. At the end of business, the manager will have the bartender verify that all tips are entered and then allow them to run a checkout. Now we count down the cash drawer. Since Aloha knows the establishment has a confirmation from the credit card company that $105 will be deposited into its account, the bartender takes their $5 tip from the cash drawer. This leaves the cash drawer at $195 plus the signed slip for $105, and the bartender goes home. After verifying that all employees have clocked out for the evening, the manager takes all the cash to the office to begin counting. Totaling all cash for the day, we find that we have $545 on hand. Since we started the day with $500 in the safe as our starting cash amount, we return that amount to the safe to become the next day's starting cash. The remaining $45 is our deposit that we will take to the bank. This amount, plus the $105 that we will receive from our credit card processor when we settle our credit card batch, totals the $150 in sales that we had for the day. The amount deposited in the bank from both sources is what constitutes the amount of money available to pay bills and make purchases within the establishment. Let's look at what was necessary for the staff to give the manager their checkout in the preceding example. First, all tabs and tables must be closed. Second, all tips must be entered, either through the WWT screen or the tips button on the floor plan. Then press the Working with Tables button on the floor plan for servers, or the table icon located in the top left corner for bartenders and cashiers. There should now be a checkout button located near the bottom center of the screen. If this button is not there, you either have open tables or an unaccepted transfer to take care of first. Pressing that will print the checkout, and you should verify on the checkout bottom that all tips have been entered. If the server's checkout appears correct, the server then gathers up the checkout, all signed credit card slips, any additional information that is collected by the server, such as coupons and gift certificates to be redeemed, as well as gathering the amount of cash that is read on the line, total cash owed. This is the amount that the server has collected in sales minus their credit card tips. The manager then collects this bundle, has it signed by the staff member verifying that it is correct and that that is the amount they are giving, and then signs it also to verify that they were the one who has received the cash from the server. Once the manager has verified and accepted the checkout, the employee is able to clock out. The clock out button is now located next to where the checkout button was located on the Working with Tables screen. Press clock out in the top right to verify that you are ready to leave, and the Aloha system will ask the staff member to declare tips. Displayed on the screen will be their total sales as well as the amount of tips they receive from credit cards. The amount they are required to declare is the sum of all tips they have received and cannot be less than the credit card tip amount. An amount must be entered even if that amount is zero. After declaring tips, Aloha will print a clockout slip that may be held on to as proof of hours worked. If after this point an unentered credit card tip is found, the staff member will need to have a manager delete their clockout and checkout so that they can enter the tip and then repeat this process, adjusting the clockout time as needed. Since owners and senior management often work day shifts in order to be in the establishment to place and receive orders, work with vendors, and so forth, it is common for closing managers to be assistants or senior staff. In order to minimize their responsibilities and to increase their accountability, the closing procedure is the minimum necessary to ensure accurate payroll and revenue reporting. This is an example of that routine. Using the employee's clocked-in report from the Aloha front-of-house terminals, our closing manager can have a checklist to verify which employees are clocked in, what time they arrived, see that they are clocked in correctly, see who to send home first, and to track those checkouts they need to collect throughout their shift. At close, it would be easy to verify that we have received all staff checkouts, along with the accompanying credit card signatures and so forth. Document any shortages appropriately. Taking all the cash to the office, they simply replace the starting cash in the safe for the next day, preferably keeping the small bills and sending the larger to the bank. Remember that the total cash owed from the bar drawers is the cash beyond the starting amount that is expected to be in the drawer, so the money returned to the office should be the starting amount plus the total cash owed. All money on hand above the starting bank for tomorrow goes to the bank as the day's deposit. If the closing manager has access to the sales reports on the Aloha back of the house, they may choose to compare the deposit against the expected deposit amount at the end of the sales summary report to see if the actual over shortage is as expected. This step, while allowing them an additional chance to find any mistakes such as miscounted cash, is not necessary, and the closing manager does not need to have access to the back of the house computer at all to finish the day. The closing manager can fill out a deposit slip and take the deposit to the bank, or leave the deposit in the safe for the morning manager. After verifying that all the cash is secured and all employees have clocked out, the closing manager would be free to go home. Typically, more senior members of management are scheduled during the day. This allows them to interact with the vendors, as well as take care of things like advertising, marketing, and dealing with the banks. Opening manager responsibilities usually include running the shift, counting and verifying all of the money on hand, scheduling and managing the labor, as well as setting up the other shifts for their evening activities. The total of all the cash on hand should equal the amount reported by the closing manager from the night before. We would then correct to the proper starting amounts all of the drawers and the safe, leaving any overage or shortage to be applied to the deposit before it is taken to the bank. We then take the drawers to the bar and assign the cash drawers to the incoming staff. That way they are able to ring in sales as soon as they clock in for the day. If necessary, we can prepare a change order so that can be taken care of when we take the deposit to the bank. Next, we would log into the office computer. Then we would log into EDC, choose Functions, Settle Batch, choose the credit card processor that we would like to reconcile for the day, and then choose Settle and Confirm. Logging into Aloha Manager, we can run our first of our daily reports. Under Reports, Aloha Point of Sale, Sales, Sales, and Summary, we can choose our daily sales report. Choose the date of business, click View, and then Add. This allows us to enter in the amount of the deposit from the night before, as well as a deposit slip number to enable us to track it and better be aware of our overage and shortages. This extra step of accountability can be skipped if so desired. Select OK and Close to review the report before you print it. You should have a section in your sales report indicating what the anticipated over shortage is, and if you've entered in the deposit, it will show you what your variance is. This number is not reflective of the starting cash and only indicates the deposit above and beyond the amount of money that the restaurant started with at the beginning of the day. If you do have a carbon available from the deposit, you can go ahead and affix it to the sales report for future reference. Under Reports, Aloha Point of Sale, Employee Labor, we can choose the date of business from which we want to run the labor report for. Select all employees and hit View. Of particular note here are any employees who says their clock out time is 4 a.m. That means in general that they were not clocking out on their own and instead were clocked out by the system automatically. These are ones we want to follow up with and make sure that we find out when they actually worked and adjust it back. Then after we print the report, we can go ahead and close it. Lastly, we'll go to Reports, Aloha Point of Sale, Payments. Choose the date of business and view the report. We can review this and then print a copy of it, and then press Close when we're complete. This report gives us an overview of the previous day's sales, payments received, cash and non-cash payments, as well as a breakdown of the credit card reconciliation, all comps, voids, and other general activity throughout the day. It's a good reference to go back to see what was going on and to make sure that everybody is properly doing all comps, voids, and other accountable actions. Since we've now completed running all our basic daily reports, we can gather all of the previous day's collected materials, including signed credit card slips, server checkouts, coupons, gift certificates, and so forth, place them all in a manila folder with the date to indicate that the business day is complete, and we can go ahead and archive it. Typically, they're placed in a file folder box within the office for the remainder of the month, and then they're put into storage with the rest of the previous months. After we've done all that, we can take the deposit to the bank, along with any change order if that was necessary.